Hello, everybody. Alright, it seems today that Business Insider decided that, well, Trump's already had the coronavirus, but that doesn't mean he's immune or that he doesn't have to wear a mask anymore. They they decided that they would headline that, oh, Trump says he's immune. Science. It's questionable. See, this sort of thing has been stewing for a bit. The slow transformation of COVID from a normal disease into leprosy, where you get it once and then you pretty much have it forever. Man, it's going to be amazing over the next few weeks, where people are going to continue to complain about Trump having rallies or not wearing a mask or that kind of thing, when ostensibly that should not matter at all, because he's already had it. So when he's already had it and he's no longer transmittable afterwards, why does it matter if he's wearing a mask? I mean, he can't get it, so that's not a problem, and there's little to no evidence that masks prevent you from getting it anyway, so even among their evidence, there's little to none. And in terms of transmitting it to other people, though there's better evidence for that, I wouldn't say very good. I'll probably get to that at some point. There's no evidence that after you're done transmitting it, that wearing a mask does anything at all. Obviously, it wouldn't. But we're going to continue as a society wear masks even for people who haven't got it. I mean, we've seen this happen before with people like Chris Cuomo, types of people who got it earlier on, but are still demanding that not only that everyone wear masks, but are still wearing masks themselves despite the fact that they've already got it. It's completely ridiculous, and it just keeps happening. I don't know why. It's just, man, there's so much going on, and it just shows really how much this narrative has died slowly. It's a very slow death the COVID narrative has, and it's on its death throes. You can see it in what they're doing nowadays. Now they're jumping to crazy nonsense like, oh, even if you've already had it, you should still wear a mask because you're not immune, because one or two guys got it again, which is to say that they probably didn't have it in the first place and just got a false positive test on the first time through, which is probably what happened, considering especially since those early tests had a lot of false positives. If you look into the data and you look into what the tests were actually like, they weren't very good tests, essentially. Back in March, back in April, they had a lot of false positives. They also got a lot of false negatives as well. So don't say that they were inflating the infection count. They weren't. They may have been inflating the death count slightly, but definitely not the infection rate. The infection count was way lower than it actually was, which is to be expected for that sort of data that you're getting, because when you have a new disease, you're not going to be able to test everyone, even if it's an old disease. You won't be able to test everyone. So if someone doesn't deign to go get a test, you can't force them to have a test. And if they don't have symptoms, you're going to miss them. That's just kind of how that functions. So, that's why you see things like the infection fatality rate based on positive tests be so much higher than, what is probably actually the case, where it's like, oh, people are predicting 0.5, they're going down to 0.3, 0.2, even 0.1 now. But the infection fatality rate is still up at like 1%, 2% for, confirmed cases. That's where you get the 7 million figure, the 7 million cases figure in the US. And, when people say, oh, these are the cases, I think that's an accurate depiction of the statistics anyway. You should be saying positive tests, because that's what they are. They're not cases, because cases implies that you have the full data set and you don't. The cases are probably up near, 30 million in the US alone, or even higher. I mean, I could see it being as high as 100 million and I wouldn't be particularly surprised. But yeah, it's just that data is not fully complete, So even for infection fatality rate, it's only really good, like the absolute infection fatality rate that you see based on that statistic of positive tests is really only useful in measuring difference, not absolute numbers, much like polling nowadays. But yeah, that's I guess beside the point. The media has gone absolutely insane with this sort of COVID fear-mongering. I mean, it's only increased since Trump beat the virus essentially in 4 days. And you would expect it to slow down because the thing is, the narrative's over. Once Trump got over it really quickly, despite being in a endangered group, supposedly endangered, well, endangered, they are endangered, it really was just a matter of time before people stopped believing them. And I think they realize this, which is why they're they're freaking out so much. And they're also like, well, he could still spread it. He's not immune. Oh no, we're going to keep having a few of these articles, I think, for the next few weeks. People are going to complain about him not wearing a mask at rallies. They're going to keep complaining about all this sort of stuff, despite the fact that it doesn't matter. And, it's something to keep in mind, and it's something that anyone with a brain would have predicted. I did. I did, not publicly, privately. I was thinking this for a while, that they would be doing ever since back when he actually got it, when he was actually tested. I was like, yeah, they're going to keep claiming that he's still a danger, even though he can't transmit it and can't get it because he already had it. Yeah. So I think that's all. So I'm out.